Happy Friday! We are so back. We are back from the long All-Star break from Major League Baseball. We've got some MLB action today, and today on the show, I'm going to be joined by Wager Talk Steve Merrill and Mid-Major Matt. So we've got a lot of Major League Baseball as we welcome it back from the All-Star break. I cannot believe we are halfway through the Major League Baseball season, and I cannot believe that the trade deadline is coming up. So we're going to have a lot to get to. I'm going to look naked for most of the show today, so I'm sure a lot of you will enjoy that. I'm going out to dinner after this, so I wanted to just not use two outfits for the day, so I'm going to try to just stick with this one. Also, have you guys ever, gone out the night before and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to drink a lot, I'm not going to, feel gross tomorrow, and then you just can't help it. It was crappy wine, but I went to a great event yesterday. So shout out to the guys over at Profluence. Profluence. It was really awesome. You guys should definitely check them out. It's a really cool way to network in the sports betting business. Well, in the sports business, actually, not sports betting, sports business. We are back. Join in now to get all your Major League Baseball props of the day. And of course, it's Friday. So we've got Premier Lacrosse. Let's see, Premier Lacrosse. Okay, had to tweet because no one was tuning in. We are back. And I know it's Friday, but thanks guys for tuning in. World Series preview tonight between who? Who's your World Series preview, Mark? Very interested to know who your World Series preview is. All-Star game, by the way, because we didn't talk about it on the show. The All-Star game was pretty good. It was like the first time that I really enjoyed an All-Star game in a really long time. Shout out to Major League Baseball. There's a little bit of tweaking that I think they're going to have to do in order to fully solidify this whole home run thing, but I think they definitely need to implement the home run thing. It was an awesome end. I know it was a few days ago. We could take a look at some of the futures in Major League Baseball. I haven't even done this yet, but I'll share the screen. Let's take a look at the futures market on FanDuel right now. So seeing, Jays Giants is his World Series preview. Okay. Looking at some futures. Poor Marley. Again, she couldn't even make it 5 minutes through the show today. That's ridiculous. So right now, the Dodgers are at plus 220, the Tigers 7-1, the Yankees 8-1, the Phillies plus 850, the Astros 10-1, the Cubs 12-1. You know the Cubs are going to break your hearts. Toronto Blue Jays there for you, Mark, at 23-1. If you want it, go get it. I don't have faith in them, but it's up to you. I have the most faith in the Astros at 10-1. I have faith in the Phillies at plus 850. No faith in the Yanks. I'm worried about the Tigers. And this is just a stupid price. Absolutely stupid at plus 220. You can't be betting that. The only way to bet the Dodgers is if you really think that the Dodgers are going to the World Series, then you need to make sure to get the Dodgers in a World Series matchup with X team. That's the only way to bet the Dodgers. And let's be honest. We all know with Dave Roberts that the Dodgers usually get to the NLCS and then don't make it back to the World Series after this. You can't be betting the Dodgers at plus 220. Sorry, I'm getting over a little bit of my cough. So the MLB standings right now. So you've got the Blue Jays in first place. Yankees 2 games back. Tigers way in first in the Central. Astros 5 games up on the Mariners for the West. Phillies a half a game up on the Mets. The Cubs 1.5 games up on the Brew Crew. And the Dodgers 5.5 up on the Pods. So looking at some of these teams to make the playoffs. Let's see. D-backs, you're going to kill me. My minus 110 on them to make the playoffs just looks terrible. Wild card right now. Let's see how many games back. D-backs 5.5 games back of the wild card. What'd you say? I'd take my chances with the Phillies and Tigers before the Dodgers. I agree with that. I think the Phillies, I don't mind them at plus 850. Let's see some make the playoff odds midway through the season. The Braves are at 13-1. D-backs plus 920 to make the playoffs. Guardians plus 520. Reds plus 610. Astros down. Royals plus 490. Right now, the Royals are 4.5 games back of the wild card. I don't know. Do you guys have any teams that you would be confident in, make the playoff odds for? Giants are at minus 106. They're a half game back. So if you think the Giants are going to the World Series, you could get them at minus 106 to make the playoffs. Mariners minus 192. Rangers will probably be sellers at the deadline. The Rays are plus 138 to make the playoffs, and the Rays are at 1.5 games back. And if the Rays, I don't know, the Rays aren't too bad there and plus money if you want to take your chances there on the Tampa Bay Rays for a midseason future. I'm sure Steve Merrill will have something to talk about with some midseason futures. Mark, you could go get Toronto at plus 190 to win the division. Other division odds, it's really only the AL East that's bettable right now. That's pretty crazy. Unless you find that someone, I wouldn't bet against Houston. I'm not betting against the Phillies because I don't trust the Mets in their rotation. Maybe the Brew Crew at plus 240 if you think the Cubs could choke. Just finding you some intriguing mid-season futures that you could look at. Home run leaders, Aaron Judge, minus 140. It's interesting. Obviously, I have a lot of props for today, and we'll talk about them through the course of the show. But Steve Merrill's going to come on soon, so I definitely wanted to get his thoughts on futures in Major League Baseball and whatnot. And then, guys, don't forget that we do have Premier Lacrosse today. We've got a lot of games on the slate. Premier Lacrosse, New York Atlas, California Redwoods at 6:30, Utah Archers and Carolina Chaos at 9, Denver Outlaws, Boston Cannons on Saturday at 3, and Philadelphia and Maryland 8 o'clock on Saturday. So definitely make sure to check out some Premier Lacrosse. I just want to make sure that Steve Merrill has, oh, okay. He said he has the link. That's good. Yeah, so last night I went to this networking, what'd you say here? Definitely cashed the head-to-head home run thanks on the Buxton lock. That was so easy. So easy. Am I going to prom tonight? No. I'm going to dinner with my friend Jordan. But last night, gosh, so I got a text. Remember, for anyone who's followed along with my career, I worked at Fanatics last year. One of my friends at Fanatics texted me and said, hey, we're doing this sports networking event. You should definitely check it out. We're doing it with Profluence and it's a 5-iron golf. For anyone that doesn't know what 5-iron golf is, it's one of those virtual reality golf places. So I'm like, okay, I'm thinking I'll go there, I'll have a drink or two, and then go home. So I go there, I have 2 drinks, crappy white wine. I had 1 white wine, they ran out of the Sauvignon Blanc, so then I go get a rosé. Then my friend who invited me to the event was like, let's go get 1 more drink to just come down from the adrenaline of the event. So I said, okay. Dumb. And we did. We only got 1 drink. I only had 3 glasses of wine, which for me is not a lot. But when you've got crappy wine, bar wine, that's when you know you're going to be hungover. And I am hungover a bit today. But we'll just keep going. I'm going to go to dinner, get a nice glass of red, and switch it over from white. You have a promi dress? It looks good. This isn't a dress. It's a shirt. It's a shirt. But okay, I guess it could kind of look like a dress. You got anything for skills tonight? Let me ask if Steve Merrill does, because he's about to join the show. Steve Merrill, welcome to the show. Happy Friday.
What are you wearing? No, I'm just kidding. I just literally tuned on your
comment. Not your America pants.
I had to say it. I couldn't resist. I just tuned in 10 seconds ago, so I heard you.
Well, I know, because I didn't feel like having to choose 2 outfits today because I'm going to go to dinner and I'm wearing a pretty cute outfit. But on strapless shirts don't normally do well on the internet, but here we are.
So I'm doing the opposite. I'm going to a baseball practice here in 30 minutes. So I put this over the t-shirt and this is coming off. So we're doing the opposite. You're dressing up. I'm dressing down. Or actually, you're dressing down for the show. I'm dressing up for the show, I guess would be how you could say it.
More clothes for Steve. Honestly, I don't think the audience is going to hate it. The way that we did this, I have less, you have more. I think that's kind of the way it goes.
I think at least a couple people missed you last Saturday for last call. And then I realized I've got to change my demographics. I need more middle-aged females watching when I guest host so that they miss me when you're back on this weekend.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate it. Steve did fill in for me. And I think you're going to fill in next weekend too, right?
Oh, that sounds, I'm actually available. Not tomorrow, but next week I am available. So that would work. Look at that.
Yeah, because Kelly in Vegas, if she didn't tell you, and I think that she's going to end up hitting you up then, because Hurricane Kelly is coming to New York next week.
Wow.
She is landing. The hurricane is touching down on Thursday.
Landfall.
So that means I'm screwed. Pretty much.
That means you're doubtful for Saturday morning last call.
Oh, I'm out. Well,
You're
we're going to
you've already pulled the
Yankees
hamstring a week ahead of time. You've already pulled the hamstring.
Friday, I'm a game time decision. Thursday, she lands in the middle of this show. So I'll still do Thursday. But Friday, we're not going to have a show because Kelly's going to be here. And my mom wants to come hang with us. So we're just going to start drinking at like 12 o'clock.
Yeah, so what could go wrong there? Okay, so she's officially out on the injury report for next Saturday. I think that makes a lot of sense. Load management for Ariel Epstein at its best right there.
Load management will be the following week when she decides to leave, which is still TBD if she'll make her flight on Sunday. But okay, Steve, let's get some winners. First off, do you handicap at all like the women's All-Star weekend for NBA? WNBA?
No, I don't mess with WNBA. I do think it's a very handicapable sport, but the betting market's still a little thin for me. So I've stayed off over the years. But I will say a lot of the same things that work in the NBA, revenge situations, rest situations, matchups, seem to work. It's funny. I was talking to Andy Lang Tuesday about the MLB All-Star game, and I mentioned on Wager Talk today, it's kind of the last All-Star event that you can somewhat handicap, in my opinion. I think the NBA All-Star game is very random. The NFL's gone. They don't even play tackle football anymore. Hockey is a joke. So even if I was covering the WNBA, I think it'd be a little bit tricky. But I'm sure there's some people out there that have an edge, and it's probably a little bit of an under-the-radar sport where you can find an edge still.
Absolutely. And we had a blast doing the Home Run Derby. We had a blast doing the All-Star game. A lot of winners. Good. I'm having a cough attack. What do you like in baseball?
Well, let me ask you this while you have your cough attack. Speaking of the Home Run Derby, I just saw odds here, and Aaron Judge is minus 140. Cal Raleigh is playing, and then we've got Ohtani at 5-1. Schwarber at 25-1 is next on that list. And of course, he had the monster home run bat off, whatever you want to call it, during the All-Star game on Tuesday night to decide the tie. But I want to ask you, Ariel, when you get back on here, what do you think? Is the Home Run Derby going to hurt Cal Raleigh? There's mixed reviews on that, but I just don't see how that could possibly be a positive, having to go out there and swing away like that. And now the betting odds are saying Aaron Judge will likely be the home run champion this year at minus money. And that, of course, obviously would correlate to him being the MVP as well, which he's already pretty heavy money to be the favorite to win that, which I found ironic because as of now, Cal Raleigh is leading 2 of the 3 categories, home runs and RBIs, with Aaron Judge only at batting average, although Judge did briefly pass him for the Triple Crown almost a few weeks ago when he got RBIs and batting average. So some interesting in-season odds, but my big takeaway from All-Star Week, Ariel, is will Cal Raleigh regress now after having to win the Home Run Derby? And, it's a guy that hasn't really been in this situation before. She's back. Tried to cover for you. I mean, I figured you'd come back when you were ready, but I wanted to make sure you were there. I could go. You know me. I can go for 5 minutes. I could cover for you all day long. I was told I was guest hosting next Saturday for you, not Friday night.
I'm dying. I think
I've had that happen to me. That is no fun. The best is when I'm doing my 20-minute NFL videos like late on Friday nights. And like at the 17-minute mark, your throat dries up and you sure as hell don't want to have to record the whole thing over again. Go back and watch some of my videos. You see me turning red. You see some watery eyes if you zoom in. It's fun.
I'm going to put a cough drop in. I've been getting over this cough, and I was really glad to have 2 days off, and I thought I would make it through the show. I don't make tough.
Yeah, I've got a professional vocalist friend of mine, and she told me that liquids do no good. It goes down to different pipes. It's all about a vapor or whatever. So, when you're on the air like this and it hits, there's nothing you can do. I'll try to chug some water or whatnot, but it gets worse before it gets better.
It doesn't work, but okay.
Hey, what do you think of Cal Raleigh, though? Do you think he's going to regress from the Home Run Derby? Was that a negative?
I think he was due to regress anyway.
Good point.
I think that Cal Raleigh was due to regress. I think it's awesome what he's been doing, and maybe he's having a great season, but no catcher. First off, it was awesome seeing him in the Home Run Derby. I'm so glad that he won and his father and him had that experience and his brother.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm not making it through this show today. He should regret.
I'll tell you. I'm good. I'm gonna go over our mid-season report here and you pop back on when you're ready to roll. I'm good. I've got it. What I wanted to talk about, I did a video, by the way, at Wager Talk TV on YouTube here for the late night game between the Dodgers Brewers. So I'll talk about that in a second when I gave out. But what I didn't get a chance to talk about during the video today at Wager Talk TV was kind of a mid-season report. Although I did actually touch on this in the Brewer game. And this is always a tricky night of handicapping because everyone's been off for the past 4 days and nights. Everyone played Sunday. Now everyone plays Friday. You know, they used to come back on Thursday. Nobody came back this Thursday. Now everyone's back on Friday. So it's been a mini bye week, something we don't see during the baseball season. And I use this a lot in the NFL, also in other sports like the NBA after the All-Star break. I've always said the bye is kind of a momentum reverser. If you're a really hot team, the bye probably isn't needed. If you've been struggling, the bye comes at the right time. And that Brewer-Dodger game tonight definitely had that element to it. Dodgers had lost 7 straight games until last weekend, and then they beat the Giants on Saturday and Sunday to get back on track before the break. They were swept by the Brewers about a week ago. Milwaukee, meanwhile, had a 7-game win streak into Sunday to the break. So two teams are kind of heading opposite directions. Dodgers a good-sized favorite tonight, though, with Glasnow back on the mound for the second time since he returned a couple weeks ago from the April injury. So once again, be careful with the handicapping here. I would kind of use a reverse momentum indicator, good versus bad, vice versa. And some other teams that jump out, if you just look at how they finished before the All-Star break, the Detroit Tigers, 4 straight losses, even though they have one of the best records in baseball. So I think the break came at a really good time for them. As far as the National League, nobody else was really red hot other than the Brewers, who came in on that 7-game win streak, as I mentioned. Interesting enough, by the way, every team in the NL Central is on a win streak right now. All 5 of the teams won on Sunday, and the Brewers have won 7 straight, as I mentioned. Cubs have won 3 straight. Dodgers, 2 straight wins, but they're just 2-7 their last 9. I think the Dodgers are a play-on team going forward. It's hard to say they've underachieved when they've already won 60% of their games this year. But you look at run differential. So far this year, Chicago and Milwaukee have a better run differential than the LA Dodgers in the National League. So I think the Dodgers, as crazy as it might sound, are a play-on team because they've somewhat underachieved. They did this last year, ran it through the World Series, swept the Yankees. One thing I will point out about the Dodgers, though, 22-20 winning teams so far this season. But, you know, Ariel, that's only 45 games out of 97. So they do have a tough schedule remaining. They've gone just 22-23 against winning teams. I still think the Dodgers, now that some pitchers are getting healthy, they're working Ohtani into that rotation. Glasnow's back for his second start tonight after the injury. I like the Dodgers going forward. As crazy as it might sound, they're a play-on team for me right now.
Wouldn't you say the best way to play them, though, is by doing the – thanks, Sean. It's just a cough attack. I don't know what's going on with me. Don't you think the best way to play the Dodgers is looking at an exact World Series matchup, though?
Oh, yeah, there's no value whatsoever. I mean, preseason they were, 2-1, I think?
And they're still like plus 220.
I mean, even if they're like a 90% chance to win the World Series, I mean, that might be even if there's a 70% chance to win the World Series, I don't want to tie my money up for like 9 months at 2-1. You're probably, you're getting 5% on cash right now in any savings account you want to find. You could also roll it over every day on a baseball best bet or a basketball best bet. So, yeah, there's never been any value with them in the futures market. The exact World Series matchup is interesting because there's a lot of teams in the American League that could get there, so that gets a bit tricky. I'll break it down just on a daily basis. I think the run line is still a really good way to play the Dodgers, even when they get pricey. We've talked about that a lot with good teams like the Yankees, the Dodgers. They're always usually good offensive teams, so it makes it easier to win by 2 runs or more. And when the Dodgers lose, they usually lose outright. And this has been going on for several years now. You either play the underdog plus money, often at a nice price, or you play the Dodgers minus 1.5 run line at a reduced price. And you've come out pretty good either way over the last few years doing that.
Game Day Wagers said, do you favor home or visitors out of the break? Does one side have an edge? I saw a stat that home teams coming off the All-Star break are very successful. Home favorites are very successful.
I think that makes sense for a few reasons, Ariel. During the grind of 162 games, you don't always have your pitching rotation matched up right. You have guys you've got to sit occasionally in the offensive lineup. You can look at it this way. Everyone's been off for 4 days, right? So you almost can start who you want again if you need to. And you definitely have your offensive lineup in check. And I've always said when both teams are focused in any sport, in a focused spot, the better team normally wins. And that's some of my strongest plays, by the way, especially in the NFL coming up. The best play I saw last season was the Eagles in the championship game against not my Washington Commanders. Commanders, were a phony team. They got there. Eagles were a powerhouse team, obviously going to be focused, right, in the NFC Championship. Saw that earlier in the season as well. The public was all over the Steelers as a public dog. I love to fade public dogs. I think it works really well in the NFL. With the daily grind of baseball, you don't find the situations as much, but you kind of do now because everyone's rested. Everyone's got their A team out there. So it makes sense, all things equal, everyone focus that the better team should win. And a home favorite would be the epitome of that.
How about unders?
Yeah, my gut, I haven't run the numbers on it, but my gut reaction would be that the pitchers probably have a little bit of an edge off the break, just like they do early in the season. And once again, pitching is defense, right? And the hitters are offense. And in every sport, we see that a lot in football, preseason games in August. Obviously the defense is usually ahead of the offense a little bit in football as well. And I think that makes some sense. But once again, I'm going to look at what I will say is I'm looking at the numbers kind of based more for these games this weekend than I do for the regular season, because there's really not a lot of situational stuff I'm factoring in like I might, after everyone's played like 80 games in 90 days. So I think you can really look at the numbers here and kind of get a clean handicap. And that's another reason it would make sense that home favorites do well.
Looking at the board tonight, I didn't get a chance to look up any fishy lines or anything, but we've got a few good pitchers on the mound, like Dylan Cease, Jesus Luzardo, Chris Bassett versus Justin Verlander for Giants Jays. Sean Manaea's back for his second start of the season. Any matchups stand out to you?
I do like unders with better pitchers on the mound for the reasons you just mentioned. We do have a lot of good guys going tonight. And as I said, that's not a coincidence, right? We get them on opening day because everyone's got their ace out there. And I think all things equal, good pitching beats good hitting nowadays. And that's why these all-star games have been so extremely low scoring for the most part over the last decade. Another thing is that the starting pitchers are used to being off for 4 or 5 days. So they're basically in their same rotation, their same schedule now, whereas these hitters are used to playing almost every day. So that's another reason probably be leaning towards some unders tonight in baseball, especially with the aces on the mound. Just looking over the card, a couple games we can kind of quick hit here that might have some value in that regard. I do have a best bet tonight on a side at Wager Talk, and I did put a free play up, by the way. I meant to mention this earlier on one of the early evening games here in about an hour on the Padres, minus 140 against not my Washington Nationals right now. Nationals, by the way, 4-game lose streak heading into the break. They're a team I'd be very careful with, Ariel. I thought they would be improved this season, maybe in that 70 win, and they've had a lot of close losses throughout. 2 All-Stars, Gore and Wood, both in the Soto trade. I'd be careful with them right now, though, and the Padres are a good team, so this might be another one of those favorites that's focused tonight.
You think they're going to trade Mackenzie Gore?
Wow, I hadn't thought about it. Are there rumblings about that?
I heard that he could be a trade piece for them, and did they draft the pitcher? I forget.
I'll tell you what, the Soto trade, to say the Soto trade worked out well for them would be an understatement, because as I mentioned, Gore and Wood were both in the All-Star game this year. Abrams had already been in as the shortstop, and they have 3 other guys they got from that trade as well. They got 6 guys. 3 of them have already been All-Stars in the first 3 years of the trade, and Soto's been on 2 different teams since. So I wouldn't be shocked if they gave him up if they could get 3 or 4 prospects like they did. The difference here, though, is he's a starting pitcher. He's one of the best strikeout guys in baseball. I'm more inclined to do it with an outfielder like Soto, who's one of the worst fielders and base runners in baseball, but it's a power hitter, right? Because he's just 1 injury away from not being out there at all. And we saw how slow he started this season with the Mets. Didn't even make the All-Star game, all things said. So I would be surprised if they do that. They're definitely not going to – I don't think they'd get rid of Wood. He's a 22-year-old with tremendous upside.
Yeah, no.
But, hey, look, it's the old Herschel Walker thing. I've said this since I was a kid, and the Cowboys built their legacy in the early 90s by trading Herschel Walker for a ton of picks, and they built that entire team, built that offensive line. There's no doubt in my mind it's been proven to work in every sport. And I would like to actually see the Nationals maybe do it with somebody. I just don't know if they're willing to give up Gore or not. I'm not sold on Gore, though, so I wouldn't be against that if they could get 3 or 4 like good prospects.
So something that really pissed me off today was, well, actually, for the weekend, I'm already pissed off. The Yankees are throwing like horrible arms all week. Like, you're playing the Braves. Max Fried returns. We could have had Strider, Max Fried tonight.
Yeah.
Like, now we have Ian Hamilton against Spencer Strider. Thoughts on the Yanks?
No, it's a good point, because this is a team that's below 500 over the past month. They got off to that monster start, and they have not been one of the better teams in baseball, but they still have a really good run differential. They still have a lot of talent. I agree with you, though, Ariel. As I said earlier, you can kind of reposition your rotation if you want to. Not everybody does that because you've had 4 days off. And this is a team that's a little thin on pitching right now. So don't quite understand what they're doing. I'll ask you, as a Yankee fan, as a neutral Yankee fan, Are you feeling good about their chances here in the second half of the season? Are they going to win this division?
They might win the division. I don't feel good about their chances. They're not going to the World Series.
Got you.
I would take the no on making the World Series this year, and I know that they're favored to win the American. Or, sorry, Detroit's favored. They're favored. They're second shortest favorites. Get out of here. They don't have the pitching, unless, like Brian Cashman, their GM, said, that they would really go for somebody. They said they're going for a pitcher. They're going for a third baseman. They're going for an outfielder. We'll see if they actually go for them and get who they want. Ask this question after the trade deadline, Joe Rodriguez said. And Freed's hurt already. Well, he has a blister, so I don't really consider that, like, hurt. A blister on your finger is not, like, a hammy or a bad arm. It's a blister. But, yes, I know. Like, I'm just a little annoyed at this. That's all. Tigers, Rangers, Patrick Corbin on the mound against the Tigers. How surprised are you that Patrick Corbin's actually having a decent season?
Yeah, speaking of the Nationals, he was probably the worst overall pitcher in baseball the last 2 years when he was with the Nationals. A ton of walks. I think he has the most hit batsman of any current pitcher in the league over the last, 10, 15 years he's been pitching. He's a guy I talked a lot about earlier this season, due to regress, come back down to earth. He started to do so a month or so ago, but he's actually pitched okay in between. I'd be very careful with him, though. It's pretty much fade Corbin or pass for me. I think he got a little bit of a rejuvenation, maybe going to a new team, but it's not like he has fixed something in his later years. And one thing I talk about a lot with these veteran pitchers, they often stick around longer than they should. And you'd be like, well, they wouldn't have them in the rotation still. They must see something. But a lot of times these guys get a little extra leash. And Corbin's a guy I think could definitely be a good fade here in the second half of the season. I would not be surprised if his ERA doesn't get to the high 4s, 5s like it's been the last couple of years.
I feel like an under that I'd be looking at tonight is Astros Mariners with Luis Castillo at home. I always love to back him. And then whoever the Royals, the Royals get Alcantara. It's Seth Lugo and Alcantara. The Royals don't score. And then you've got, I think, the Athletics and Guardians. Both these teams also don't score, but Saccone hasn't been as good at home. Which unders would stand out to you on the board?
Well, it's not in Sacramento, so you can maybe make a case for it, but it's hard for me to play any A's games under this year. This is like one of the worst bullpens in modern history. So that pitching staff, although they're rested.
Maybe the first 5 under?
Yeah, that's a good call. And the bullpen is a little rested here after the break, and it's a road game. Obviously, Sacramento is more of a hitter-friendly park. So, yeah, I think if you're going to play that first 5 under or just play the A's under in general, because Cleveland's a team I was waiting to heat back up, and they did start to do so against the Astros last week and into the break. They started playing better, and it was definitely on the offensive side. They were ice cold during that 10-game losing streak a couple weeks ago. They were ice cold offensively. They had, I think, 2 runs or less in 6 or 7 or 8 of the 10 games or something during that streak. So, once again, it would be interesting to see if the All-Star break cooled them off or not. I do think the Kansas City-Miami under makes sense. Royals have been dicey all season long. When I'm playing an under, I want both teams to probably be dicey, and I think Miami and Kansas City kind of fit the mold there for 2 offenses, especially after the break that might struggle tonight.
Did you do anything yet for Hall of Fame game?
Nah, we'll look at that. I haven't dug into it. The problem, with these games is they're all information-based, and the Hall of Fame game hardly anybody plays. I will still look at the quarterback rotation. We'll see where the line settles the week of the game. But for anybody out there who doesn't think you can beat preseason football, you can. It's definitely become a little more tricky in the last decade or so because all the information is out there. Back when I started in the 90s, Ariel, it was about finding out the information. Now everybody has it within one click of a mouse. It's kind of deciphering the information. But in a way, it's a good thing, though. I kind of like that everyone has it because I feel like I have an edge from doing this for decades, of having to decipher. That's the word I was looking for. Don't make me spell it. Decipher the information a little bit better than others. But it's all about quarterback rotation, coaches' motivation. And there's no question certain coaches try harder in the preseason than others. Just as a quick rule of thumb for new bettors out there, you want to look at bad teams, right? They probably have an urge to win a little bit more than, say, Belichick back in the day when they were running Super Bowl after Super Bowl. So there is some human nature involved there. But what's tricky now about it more than ever is that there's only 3 preseason games. Some teams treat the second game as a dress rehearsal. Some treat the third. It was always week 3 out of 4 was a dress rehearsal, and you got a clean handicap. But this first week, low totals for a good reason. As I said earlier, defenses are ahead of the offenses. And when you're mixing in 3 different rotations of offensive linemen, quarterbacks, different guys who've only been together for a few weeks, the defenses have an edge for a reason.
Steve Merrill, thank you for saving me while I had a massive cough attack. I
You
always
handled
like
it
to rely
awesome.
on you to talk. What?
You handled it awesome.
Oh, God.
You
Well,
did. You
that
went
was
off
the
screen
first
and
time
it's like it
in
never
12
happened.
years that happened to me on air. So I guess that's a pretty good record.
But you got to remember, Ariel, like I've dealt with this before. Like what was off screen probably seemed terrible to you, but we didn't see it. So you handled it well.
Well, I was also dying while I was trying to produce and get you on the screen. So we did have issues of like me getting you on and off the screen and me coughing into the microphone
The screen was
as I was
coughing.
trying.
The screen was feeling your cough attack.
I felt like my heart was coming out of my chest. Steve Merrill saved the day. I'm still on the cough drop, hoping it'll help.
That will
Thank
help.
you, Steve. Have a great weekend. Will I see you on Last Call tomorrow?
No, I'm off tomorrow, and then I am available to cover for you next week if needed. So just like Kelly chime in. She told me I think August 23rd I'm needed. So that was the one she asked me yesterday.
Yes, because she'll be in Ireland, and I'm probably going to Morgan Wallen.
It was week 0. She wanted me for week 0 of the college football season. But yeah, I'm good for next week, I think. Just let me know.
Cool. Thanks, Steve. Have a good weekend.
Ariel. Take care.
That's me. Coming up on the show now, you know that he comes on every Monday and Friday, at least when he can. We're going to talk all things props. Steve gave us sides and totals to focus on. And now, coming in live from the racetrack, and we're going to get a nice low angle of him. This is the angle that it looked like when I was shooting interviews in a locker room because I was so short compared to the athletes. Mid-major Matt. Hi, Matt.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I guess I'll have to go. Oh, we zoomed in a little bit. Let me see if I could, let me see if this will look better. Okay, that looks a little better today.
That's good to know. It's good. My horse just finished third. I lost a little bit. I'm not the horse racing expert, though.
What track are you at?
Colonial Downs in New Kent, Virginia.
Very cool. Do you spend all day there?
So we do that. I do my show from here from 3 to 5. And then since that's rush hour, I sit here and kill another hour and then hopefully make some money before going home at 6.
Underrated that DC Baltimore traffic is like the worst in the world.
Yeah, this is towards Virginia Beach. So therefore, there's going to be a lot of traffic heading towards the beach right now. So I like to wait that out a little bit.
Well, let's talk some props because I know that you've got them. So looking at Matt's card today, first, this one stood out to me because Matt sends me his plays and I'm thinking, oh, I didn't look at Jonathan Cannon. Let me go dive back in. The Pirates have been striking out a lot recently.
Yeah, and Jonathan Cannon's been doing all right with regards to strikeouts. He's had, this is a really low number, and I think we're getting a lot of low numbers today because it's the first day back, and maybe they think pitchers aren't going to go as long. And yet, I think, if you get 5 innings from Jonathan Cannon, you're going to get probably 4 strikeouts against the Pirates. He's taken advantage of some of the higher K lineups that he's faced so far this season. So I figured I'd take a shot. I went small on all 3 plays today because this is almost like a second opening day. Somewhat. So we don't know what some teams think about how long they want some of these pitchers to go.
Yeah, except with the Pirates, like you said, 19 of the last 24 righties have gone over against pitchers' arms are rested, but on the flip side, so is the bullpen. But then on the flip side, it's Friday, so it's kind of just like messing with my head as to I didn't really want to play any high ones, even though I did like Jesus Luzardo today over 6.5. But these high ones are a little scary on a day like today.
Yeah, you figure 5 for everybody, at least, who's pitching all right. And then in certain situations where your bullpen's not as good, like the Phillies will let Luzardo go a little longer. But then again, we're also going into uncharted territory for innings for Luzardo, considering he got hurt last year. We're already over his innings from last year. But yeah, I kind of like that. This is, as I said, this is almost a second opening day here. So you got to figure out how the teams want to handle it.
Yeah, you're going with Charlie Morton over 15.5 outs. Why? Especially on the road.
It's just a guy we've done a lot. If you followed me on Twitter, you've seen a lot. I think I've had his outs over the last 3 or 4 starts. He's just a guy that eats innings. He went 6 innings already in Tampa Bay. The weather doesn't look that bad in Tampa Bay. It's not like the wind's blowing out or it's excessively hot or anything like that. So, I just think Charlie Morton's the guy who's going to eat some innings. And if he goes 5 1/3, we win. So yeah, that's once again another small wager because I'm not playing anything large today. But like this guy's been good to me so far this season in terms of the outs. So I'm going to take advantage of it one more time, hopefully.
He scares me on the road.
I mean, yeah, and look, he scares you in Tampa Bay. I mean, Tampa Bay is a place where notoriously starting pitchers don't last very long. But even when he's not pitching well, sometimes the Orioles leave him out there to eat innings. So therefore, like Patrick Corbin, sometimes when he's not pitching well, teams leave him out and he eats innings. So I think Morton could be the case as well.
And then Quinn Priester over his strikeout prop, -105. Why?
I mean, the Dodgers strike out a lot from time to time. You've got a couple Dodgers coming from the All-Star game. Who knows where their head's at? And I just look, once again, I think 5 innings, you can get 4 strikeouts against this LA lineup. We've seen them all season long. They get very hot when it comes to strikeouts. They get very cold when it comes to strikeouts. They entered the break very hot to the over against strikeouts. And Quinn Priester doesn't have terrible stuff. So I think he can get this as long as he doesn't get, beaten up in that first inning. I think we can get 5 innings from him, and I think we can get 4 strikeouts.
So we're at the halfway point of the Major League Baseball season, essentially, now that the All-Star game just happened. We haven't had the trade deadline yet, so that's going to be a big factor when looking at the futures market. What, if anything, have you seen in the futures market for Major League Baseball that may have stood out, that maybe we could take advantage of before the trade deadline?
Well, I think the thing that's interesting here is with baseball, the favorites are the favorites for a reason. So like when you look at the Cy Young, we know who the favorites are. You look at Rookie of the Year, but this is the opportunity to go behind them and go for people who are in second or third or even fourth or fifth, because one injury and that leader is done. And so this is one of those sports where I feel like there's an opportunity for it. Like look at last year, if you had Jared McCain to win Rookie of the Year in the NBA, he was well on track to do so for the Sixers, and then he got hurt, and people behind him overtook him. So, I feel like this is the opportunity right now to look at some of the awards, maybe find that third or fourth guy who's having a pretty good Cy Young-like season, and then you hope that somebody ahead of them gets hurt. Obviously, I hope Zach Wheeler gets it because that means the Phillies probably did really well. But I think this is the opportunity to find somebody off the path that can maybe, come in at the end under the wire.
Yeah, I was looking and it really wasn't a lot of different, there wasn't a lot of bettable markets yet, especially for team futures. So the trade deadline always scares me before betting any futures. So I guess I also like to handicap the GMs sometimes, see which GMs typically make moves at the deadline, like the Padres. But yeah, we're done with that. Sean Michael, where'd you see this? Is this true? Did you see that, Matt? Catal Marte?
I have not seen that, no.
Where did you see that, Sean Michael? I'm looking right now at all of my alerts, and I haven't seen it. So I'm very curious. Oh, it's Bob. Bob Nightingale. We can't always trust Bob. He's got a bad history. Where did you
see? But the thing is, Arizona was already a seller as it is, probably. So that'll just make them more of a seller, probably.
Just interesting that Bob tweeted it, but why did Passan not? I don't know. Ooh,
maybe it was an embargo tweet that he tweeted too early, and maybe he shouldn't have done that.
Oh, Marte's house was robbed? I don't know. Sean always has the drama. Always the drama. Okay, any strikeout prop trends, Matt, at the midway point of the season that have stood out?
I just think it's really important to kind of look at the hot and cold nature of it. I mean, certain teams, the Cubs are another team that you look at the unders. The Twins are one of those teams. The Twins, for the longest time, you and I would just look at each other and go under, under, under. But if you look at the Twins as of late, they've been an over strikeout team. And so this is the purpose of the spreadsheet, to visually tell people this is a hot and cold thing. Somebody that's really striking out a lot doesn't have to do that all season long. And so that's kind of why we do the spreadsheet, is for something like this. And so, the lefties, we have to see how many teams continue their lefty over trends. We've seen a lot of teams who aren't very good against lefties. I looked at Bailey Falter today. I just can't trust him. If somehow we had gotten a 2.5 like we had that last time, I would have taken advantage of it. 3.5, I'm asking a bad lefty to get 4 strikeouts. And he can, but I'm just not going to trust him to do so.
Yeah, I can't trust him to do so either. Matt, anything else before I let you go?
No, I'm looking forward. Next week, I'm going to be live at ACC Media Day for football down in Charlotte, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So getting a lot of interviews with players, coaches, media members, and stuff like that, trying to get some inside information for the ACC college football season coming up. So make sure to follow my feed, and that way you can get all the information and see all the interviews that I've done, that I will be doing next week.
We love to hear it. ACC Media Days are always so much fun. It's the one thing I definitely miss from working in North Carolina. They do a great job. Mid-Major Matt, have a great weekend. Enjoy the track. Thanks so much for coming on.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Time to do some prop queen edges. And Marley is not happy. She was quiet all day. And now she is like not having it being in that crate. So we've got Premier Lacrosse today. Actually, before I get to it, look at what this just broke. The latest in the Terry Rozier gambling case. A pro bettor placed 30 wagers in 46 minutes involving Rozier in 2023. 13.7K was bet on Rozier unders. All bets won, and Rozier left the game after 10 minutes with a foot issue. Ooh. Was there really a foot issue, or did he just tell the guy that there was a, like, I'm curious. I'm curious about this. I didn't make graphics today because, as you could tell, I've been like coughing and not sleeping. Marley's been keeping me awake. She like only sleeps 5 hours now, so it's very annoying. But let's go to a little props.cash. And I'm going to show you guys some of my props.cash stuff for today. So, and we do have Premier Lacrosse, which I'll get to in a second. And I have strikeout props, so I'll tell you that. But first, let's start with so props.cash. Some of the players that I was looking at today. So, like, there are a few players that do have some good matchups. First off, and you're seeing my screen. Okay. Nathaniel Lowe of Washington. He has a good matchup against Dylan Cease. So, if you look at his hits, runs, and RBI, he's gone over it in 3 of his last 5 home games. Let's see. Home. 3 of his last 5 have gone over. Both games at night in San Diego. Wait. Sorry. He's not at home. He's on the road. That's my bad. Hold on. On the road. Now I'm confused. Wait. Both games at night. Again. Oh, sorry. Okay. No, they're home. Got it. At home. And then at home at night against San Diego. He went over in both. So Nathaniel Lowe. Over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. He's hitting 455 with 2 home runs against Dylan Cease. Stephen Kwan's hitting 500 against JP Sears, but there wasn't really anything that stood out for him. George Springer was the next one. His over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI stood out. He's averaging 2 hits, runs, and RBI at home this season, 2.4 at home this season. And he's hit it in 3 of his last 5. So that's another one because Springer is 6 for 16, which is 375 with 2 homers against Justin Verlander. You could also see, well, not there. Gleyber Torres. He also has a good matchup. So Gleyber Torres on the Tigers. He is hitting 308 with 2 home runs against Patrick Corbin. So you could look at his hits, runs, and RBI, and you could look at, oh, that's not good against lefties. Are they? Shawn Michaels going to laugh at me now. Schedule. Detroit Tigers are on the road. Yeah, so his road numbers are better. Hits, runs, and RBI for Gleyber Torres on the road at night against the lefty. He's hit it in 62% of games. 3 of the last 5. So, Gleyber Torres over hits, runs, and RBI. Matt Vierling, he's hitting 444 with a double and a home run against Corbin, but no, like, props really stood out for him. Ryan O'Hearn over 1/2 a hit is very juiced, but if you're the type to do, like, parlays and stuff, then you could take a look at this if you wanted to throw it in your parlay because he's hit in 63% of road games. Wait, not against lefty. 63% of road games when he is facing off with the Rays. And against Taj Bradley, he's hitting 417 with 2 doubles and a home run. Ryan O'Hearn. And he's done well in his road games with 6 of the last 10 going over. So that's pretty good. And then lastly is Gunnar Henderson for a good matchup. If you wanted to look at Gunnar. So Gunnar Henderson on the road at night in the matchup. So head to head. Where is this? Why am I? There was a stat. Oh, that's why, because we're on hits. Silly me. There we go. His hits, runs, and RBIs hit in 75% of games against the Rays in Tampa when facing a right-hander at night, and that dates back to 2024. Overall, he has cashed in 8 of Henderson's last 10 road games at night. So, averaging 3 hits, runs, and RBI in his last 10 games on the road. So, Gunnar Henderson could be a play tonight. Jose Altuve is a fade tonight. I would not be taking him. So, Jose Altuve, why aren't you showing up? There we go. So, Jose Altuve hits, runs, and RBI. You could be fading because when he's faced off with Seattle, look at this, head-to-head against Seattle. He's gone under this for 5 of his 7 games against them. So I'd be fading Jose Altuve. He's hitting .211 with 7 strikeouts against Luis Castillo in his career. And one more fade for tonight on the Astros is Christian Walker. Christian Walker also struggling in Seattle. It's cashed in 5 of his last 6 in Seattle. Right, hits, runs, and RBI. Yeah, and all 4 night games have gone under. So definitely something to check out for fading Christian Walker. I haven't looked at the chat recently. It's all Sean Michael. Okay, sorry. I'm just going through all of the hitter props that you guys could be looking at tonight. Another hitter prop. So this one's under a total basis prop for Byron Buxton. He's coming off the All-Star game, and believe it or not, I cannot believe that Byron Buxton has never played in Colorado before. He's played the Rockies, but never in Colorado. So looking at his numbers on the road, Buxton, not very good. So he's gone under in like 70% of games this season on the road. 13 of 20 went under, let's see, on the road at night. A lot of red there. And since he's never played in Colorado before, but on the road against lefties, because Kyle Freeland's pitching, he's also gone under a bunch in 65% of games. So something to keep, or 60% of games. Something to keep a look at there for Byron Buxton, fading him off the All-Star break. Didn't get much time off. Now has to go to Colorado. Never played in Colorado before, so that's something to keep in mind. Now, if you want a hot player to keep on betting, Cody Bellinger. He has been so good. And I know that the numbers don't stand out overall for him, especially when up against Atlanta, but he doesn't have the greatest. He's hitting .287 in Atlanta in his career, but the head-to-head isn't like favorable for the last couple of years. But overall, look at this. Like, it's gone over in 6 of 10, 4 of the last 5 for Cody Bellinger on the road at night. On the road in general, he's been doing well. 8 of the last 10 have gone over for Cody Bellinger of hits, runs, and RBI. So he's someone else to be looking at if you want to ride the hot streak. Corey Seager, this is the last hitter's prop, and then we'll go to pitchers. Corey Seager, look at all that green. I think the Rangers are at home, though. So let me just switch that to home. So Corey Seager is at home, and in 67%, which is 2 of 3, but of these games against Detroit, he's gone over at home. He also has gone over in 7 of his last 10 home games, including 5 straight. And dating back to last year, just overall against Detroit, Corey Seager has gone over in 71% of games. So Corey Seager is definitely a name that you guys should be looking at tonight. Okay, and then I've got the strikeout props. Let me stop sharing. So hopefully that gave you guys some good hitter props for tonight. Pitcher props to look at for tonight. I've got all strikeout props for today. Nothing really stood out on props.cash for me with pitcher props, but I used the strikeout prop spreadsheet to analyze the strikeout props for tonight in Major League Baseball. I agree with mid-major Matt on Jonathan Cannon over 3.5 Ks. He's had 4 strikeouts against Pittsburgh last year. 19 of the last 24 right-handed starting pitchers have gone over this against Pittsburgh. Phillies lefty Jesus Luzardo, his over 6.5 does scare me a little bit. Yet he cashed the over in 6 of 10 starts against teams with high strikeout rates against lefties. 13 of the 17 lefty starters to face the Angels have gone over their strikeout prop, averaging just over 6 strikeouts a start. I'm going to show you the baseball prop spreadsheet to show you some of these most recent lefties to go up against them. Like, Luzardo should be going over if these other dudes can. Let me put it up on the screen. Here's the MLB prop spreadsheet. We're going to the Angels against the lefties. You see this left-handed pitcher column. Patrick Corbin just had 6 strikeouts against the Angels. Eric Lauer just had 6. Mitch Parker, he sucks. Then Garrett Crochet had 10. Walter had 6. And then Carlos Rodon had 7. So the 2 good pitchers on this list, Carlos Rodon and Garrett Crochet, went over 6.5 Ks. And the 2 that came up short are terrible. Patrick Corbin and Eric Lauer. Jesus Luzardo at home should definitely be going over this, as long as you don't care that they're coming off the All-Star break. So over 6.5 Ks for Luzardo. I'm fading Mike Soroka tonight. You could look at his under outs, but I like his under 4.5 Ks. He's only faced 2 low K rate teams this season. Toronto, he had 3 strikeouts. St. Louis, he had 4. Righty starters averaging about 4 strikeouts a game against the Padres. And lastly, Athletics lefty JP Sears over 3.5 Ks. He's hit this over in 9 of 16 games against high K rate lineups. Lefty starters, 18 overs and 7 unders for their K prop against the Guardians, averaging just under 6 strikeouts a game. So the Guardians strike out a lot more against lefties. JP Sears worries me a little bit, but with the way that some of these teams are hitting, maybe he stays in the game because they're not hitting him hard enough. But those are my favorite strikeout props of the day. And then, of course, we have, stop sharing screen, share screen. We've got Premier Lacrosse. So let's talk a little Premier Lacrosse. I do have, and someone was emailing me before that they were struggling to find lacrosse props. It's literally if you go to FanDuel and then you go to lacrosse. So there are 4 games this weekend. The one I'm looking at is the Atlas, the first one, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, the Atlas and the California Redwoods. Connor Schellenberger over 2.5 goals is in plus money. He's coming off a 5-goal game. He's only had 2 hat tricks this season, but last season against the Redwoods, Shelley had 4 goals and a 7-point performance, and he's gone from 50-1 to plus 550 in the MVP market. So he's doing well, and he's got a good matchup against the struggling Redwoods team. So that would be my favorite play today in Premier Lacrosse for my favorite prop, Connor Schellenberger over 2.5 goals. I have to think of what I want my Royal Lock to be today. Probably a strikeout prop. I think I know what it is. Okay, I've got one Royal Lock today. So let's get to it. Royal Lock. Royal Lock of the day, Nats righty Mike Soroka under 4.5 Ks. Again, he's only faced 2 low K rate teams. He had 3 against Toronto, 4 against St. Louis. With the Padres averaging about 4 strikeouts a game, I would look to the under on Mike Soroka tonight. JP Sears also kind of could be. It fills in the category of a Royal Lock because the Guardians strike out so much against lefties. He just scares me a little bit. But he's gone over 9 of 16 this season against high K rate teams. Thanks guys for also putting up with me and not tuning out when I had a cough attack. If you missed the cough attack and you're sadistic like I am and like watching people in pain for some reason, you could go to the YouTube page and you could check out on the YouTube page me about 12 minutes in talking to Steve Merrill and having an absolute breakdown. So at the Prop Queen Sports YouTube page, you could definitely take a look at me dying on air. And then also, remember, you could still do this. You could still go to props.cash, use promo code PropQueen, get $10 off, which makes it $9.99 on props.cash, and I'll give you a free month subscription to the premium newsletter. Kelly in Vegas and I also, on Monday, we are starting this. I'm going to show you guys real quick, and I probably should have made a graphic for this. I'll make one again. I have to find it. It's on the main page for Splash Sports. So if you just go, actually, I'll just share my screen. Let's share my screen. Splash Sports. So it's really fun. You have a chance to win up to $15,000 in prizes. So it's one winner because it's a survivor pool. So $15,000 for the winner. We need, though, 1,112 people to join. Right now we only have 77, so spread the word. Go join the hit contest. Basically, the way that you do it is you're going to just pick a player to get a hit each day. And you obviously can't use the same player twice. It's a survivor pool. So you just pick a player to get a hit each day, and whoever makes it to the end wins. We just have to keep killing people. Just keep killing people off. And once you kill enough people off, you could win $15,000 if we get a little over 1,000 people to sign up. $15 to just enjoy some baseball survivor. It's fun. So Kelly and I, we're doing this on Splash Sports. Go splashsports.com/propqueen. Splashsports.com/propqueen. It'll be fun. And I'm going to tell you guys on here who I'm giving out of each day, who I'm picking each day. And we'll do a little like Splash Survivor, like who we're going to do each day. And you could all tell me in the chat too. It'll be fun. I'm probably going to have another cop attack. Subscribe, like on the YouTube page. It really means a lot. We've gotten a lot of subscribers already. I really am loving it. I'm loving using the YouTube. It's way better than TikTok. Don't tell TikTok I said that. But YouTube at least seemingly has like some enjoyment for good quality content that's not dumbed down and stupid. So definitely let me know if you guys need anything. I'll be back on Monday here on the Prop Queen Pod. Have a great, profitable weekend. Hope we gave out some winners today. I'll be on last call tomorrow on Wager Talk. But again, good luck with your bets. See you on Monday.